Hi, welcome to StoryHive On Location, Kelowna. I'm Robb and we are live in Kelowna with another episode brought to you with support from TELUS STORYHIVE. Today we're sitting with Darion Rae, an amazing hip-hop artist, break dancer, I want to say all-around b-boy and hip-hop culturalist from Kelowna. How are you doing, my friend?
Good, brother. Feeling really good.
Thank you for having me and sitting down and talking with me.
Dude, thanks for inviting me.
Let's dive into where you're from, how you got into hip-hop, and what led you onto this journey.
I'm pretty much from Kelowna. I was born in Edmonton, but I moved here when I was 4 or 5. I don't even really remember. And hip-hop, man, I've always loved hip-hop. I remember I heard Eminem when I was like really young, and that was like the biggest thing for me, was I just loved the rhythm, the style, the swag, like the charisma, all of those things. And so I fell in love with rap first, like the music thing. And then when I was about 10, I remember my mom came and asked me if I wanted to. She heard about these breakdancing classes at the rec center here in town. And so she was like, is this something you would want to do? And I was like, yeah. And she I didn't really know what it was, but she kind of explained it and told me it was like hip hop and you dance to rap music or, that type of genre. And so I started doing that. And that's when I really fell in love with hip hop and music even more. And I was always like, as a kid, writing raps. I used to like rap in the mirror, pretending I was Eminem, like put on his music, and I would just rap in the mirror like I was on stage since I can remember.
Did you get into dance first, or did you get into writing and rapping first?
I would say I was more into, like, breaking was the first one that I took seriously, where it's like, you practice and you work on the craft. Mm-hmm. Rapping, I would like freestyle with my brothers. I have 2 older brothers, and just like stupid stuff. And I would rap Eminem's lyrics and stuff like that, but I wasn't like at home like studying it, like trying to be an MC. Breaking was the first thing where I was like, I love this skill and the challenge and the whole culture behind it. So yeah, I would say I got into that first.
Did you ever fall into beatboxing as well and graffiti?
So graffiti I dabbled in quite a bit. I never got very good at it. And then as far as beatboxing, I definitely dabbled. If we were to go cypher at a show, like I could easily hold the beat in the cypher.
So how long have you been doing hip-hop itself? Like how long have you been recording, rapping, and performing?
When I was younger, I was very self-conscious, mostly about my passion for rapping. I was breaking for like 3 years, from probably 10 to 13, maybe pushing 14. And then I met basketball. And I fell in love like nothing else. So that was all I did. So I stopped breaking. So basketball took over, and then, but I was always rapping. Like I was always rapping. Like if we were at a party, I was the one freestyling like all the time, like in the corner. As I got older and into my 20s, I actually started drinking a lot, and kind of like developed a really bad habit around that. But I was rapping every day. Like I would drink by myself. Unfortunately, I can chuckle now because I've been sober over 5 years.
Congratulations.
Thank you, brother.
It's a challenge.
I would just like put beats on and just rap for hours. I would write. And so that was really when I got into it. And then when I finally got sober, I kind of felt like I had a second shot at my life, because I got sober when I was 28. So I drank almost all my 20s away, so to speak. And so I felt like I had this rejuvenated spirit. And that's when I was like, you know what, man? Just, you got to go for everything that you ever wanted to go for. And so I just like went for it.
I find that coming from Kelowna, there's 2 scenes of hip hop artists. You have these OG, almost classic vibe hip hop artists who are based around skill. And then I noticed there's a little pocket that's based around like show and performance. Yeah. And what I really appreciate about your style is it gravitates to that OG style, and that it has elements of the new style, but it stays true to what hip-hop is at its roots. And I think that's what I love about watching you perform, because every time I'm like, man, this is just so good. As you've grown from your 20s where you drank, mm-hmm. which is exactly what I did, and I did the same thing. I would rap all the time. Yeah. In your development as an artist, have you noticed that's progressed through that transition from sobriety to being in your early 30s and being an adult? and what you're writing now versus what you wrote then?
The progression has been more of just being able to teach from like a place of maybe like more experience and maybe a little more wisdom. I was always writing about like real stuff, you know. Even when I was 20, I remember I still have notebooks full, and like whenever I read them, it's, you know, like my first girlfriend who cheated on me. I was writing about that. I was writing about, you know, like my dad I never had, and so I was always sort of doing it for that. When you really get in love with the culture, it's about, you know, expressing yourself. Like especially as a b-boy, the number one thing is being original, right? Like you get called out if you steal someone's style or their move, right? And so with like I've heavily been influenced by artists with my rapping, but as I was coming up, I was like, no, I got to share my story.
The art of freestyle is so, I don't want to say it's a dying art, but it is, because a lot of these guys can't do that nowadays, and I think that that's where you excel as an artist. You can sit and write all you want and be really good, but to harness your craft and learn what you do best isn't by writing, it's by freestyling and messing up.
Totally.
And I love embracing that ugly rawness of hip-hop instead of how that polished, perfected rap style. And it's definitely, you see there's like the two pockets, and the ones who really excel at it are the ones who are saying a message. And I think you're one of those ones that falls into that bracket of excelling and saying a message. You, in your growing process, you were mentioning that you've always stayed true to the life lessons. What's been the hardest thing for you to overcome as an artist up to date?
First of all, I want to say for anyone watching though too, he's interviewing me. He's being very humble. This guy can rap. This guy can rap. So don't ever let him fool you. Don't ever, it's funny because I kind of, when I first met you, we met at that show, but you had sort of this like metal kind of vibe too. At least that was the energy I was getting. And then Zane had told me a little bit about you. Zane's his cousin, and so I was picturing, you know, like more like metalhead, and then you were running the audio. So I actually didn't even know you were performing. I thought you were just running the audio. And then, so I went up and you came up after me, right?
Yes.
And I remember like sitting down and being like, you know, my friends are talking to me, and then you started rapping. I was like who's this? And then that was like a big moment for me to be like, oh, okay, like this guy is for real. So I just want to make sure that you're getting your love too, man.
Oh, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
Hip hop's always been something, a lot of people don't realize that. Like, I performed hip hop for maybe 6 to 7 years professionally, but I used to tour with like Snack and Mercules when Merc was still performing in pizza shops in Surrey. And now he's one of the biggest artists, right? So hip hop was always something I really loved and I put everything into. But there's something that just like vibe and clicks with me with hip hop versus being a metal vocalist, because that's what I am. I play guitar and do vocals for a metal band locally, but two different energies. Like with the band, I'm focused on being the voice of the band. I can't just like say what I feel. It has to represent them, as where hip hop is very, I can be authentic. So I could talk about my flaws and like my depression and the fact that I struggle trying to be a good parent, like as growing up without a parent. Like growing up without a dad is definitely a hard thing, especially as a young man, because you're supposed to have that like strict love from a dad. When you don't have it, it's kind of hard to build yourself as that character, but besides being what you wish you had. Yeah. And I feel like that's a lesson that took me a long time, but hip hop really made me see that again.
Let's say you make a song for you, right? It's about something and it's just therapeutic for you, and then you release it. Like for example, I have a song, and I have a friend who's, you know, struggling with addiction and stuff, and he's called me multiple times telling me like my music saved him. Like he was on his way downtown to go, you know, potentially use, and he put on my music and turned around. Like that type of stuff, like I don't need to be world famous. Like that's crazy, man. And it's beautiful. So it's easy to overlook that and just be like, oh, I just made that song. But it's like, no, dude, you're really changing and affecting people who listen. If there's been any sort of roadblocks and stuff, it would be self-censorship, especially when I'm writing. Just being like, all my best songs are just when I got out of the way. I barely think when I write. It's really hard to explain, but when I sit down and I'm making music and if I made the beat already and I'm just writing, first of all, a lot of my songs I'll just rap into the mic, like kind of freestyle it. Not the whole song for anyone who's listening, but certain bars, and then I'll record that and keep it, and then I'll play off that. So like a lot of stuff I don't even actually write in terms of like in a sitting. But the stuff that I do write, even the same thing is, man, when I start thinking, that's when I make my worst stuff. Because now I'm like censoring, oh, should I say this? Oh, is that good? Will people like that? Like, that's not how I want to make music. So normally I'll go down and I'll find way cooler flow pockets, way cooler rhymes and multis when I'm doing it that way. You know what I mean?
You touched on a good point there. It is moderating yourself is the worst thing you can do as an artist. Then again, we also live in a very complicated time where you have to be very careful with what you say, or you'll never be able to get your word out there, which is where I struggle, because there's been a lot of lines that I'm like, yep, that one's not making it, and it's just like, cut. So, but you touched on a very valid point that I think is a reoccurring thing through musicians and artists, is they're not the one writing the words.
Yeah.
There's this spiritual aspect that something takes over you and you're just the vessel that's putting it from concept to paper, essentially. If you start to think about what you're doing in that moment, you kind of like block that transmission.
Yeah.
And it kind of ruins what you're writing versus just letting it out and then going back and like fixing and fine-tuning, right?
Also, something you touched on earlier, man, is everyone's trying to be trendy, do what's trending, all of these things, right? And which is like cool, man. If that's your lane, ride it. Mm-hmm. But for me, when I'm pretending to be something, like even my artist name is my real name. I don't even have an alias. Like, I'm really sharing me with the world, because I know that we're all connected, right? So me isn't just me. There's millions of people who are struggling with the same doubts, the same, and positive things too, right? Excited about the same things, like the same things. So I would rather just do that and just open up the door for anyone who's like, oh, I resonate with this. Instead of being like rapping about stuff that I don't care about, I don't believe, and all that stuff, right? Mm-hmm. Just to be trendy. I don't need a bunch of Spotify listeners. I've been like uploading my stuff to YouTube, just directly to YouTube, my own channel that I own, that potentially could be monetized at some point, because I'm playing a different game.
That's where Spotify itself is a very finicky thing, and I think what you're doing is the smartest option. Tom Merck got big. I hate to say he's a YouTube rapper because he's not, but realistically his popularity blew up from YouTube and the covers he was doing.
Totally.
And I think having that full creative control over your, not glass copies anymore, but glass copies, your online identification of which your songs are. Because people don't realize that. If you upload to DistroKid, CD Baby, any of these distribution companies, they give you a code. You don't really own that code. They can take it down anytime they want. Yeah. And all your streaming numbers, everything's gone. What is the biggest success that you've had to date, which has been the most memorable moment through music that you've had, or break?
I would say putting on my first project. I did it in 2023 or 2024. It was like my first sort of album project, but I made every beat. I mixed it, mastered it, and obviously wrote it.
How was that experience?
Yeah, it was crazy, man. It was crazy. It was like the first time I had ever done something where it was just like, look at this. Like, I did this, and, you know, I created this. And, like, obviously now my mixing skills are way better. Like, everything's better, but it doesn't matter. It was also called First Story because it was my first, like, project as an artist. It was, like, everything from my drinking to how I lost my eye to how I got sober, and then where I am now. And I was at school at Cato. I was in the audio program there. They got me to perform at Cato, and that was really cool too, because that was the biggest crowd I ever performed. Like, it was the Kelowna Community Theater, and it was packed. It's like, damn, 4 years ago I was drinking every day. Now I put out this project, and now I'm performing in front of it was crazy. So that.
It's super inspirational.
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of a testament to your will and what you want to achieve when you put your mind to it. Because a lot of people won't put themselves through the hardship of sobering up and then putting themselves so openly out there to the world to understand their flaws.
Mm-hmm.
It's one thing that I love about writing music. It's just being so genuinely honest. Like my favorite songs, well, not even my favorite songs, the songs that have had people tell me that have changed their life the most are the ones where I'm genuinely honest about my depression.
Mm-hmm.
And like
Exactly.
the raw, dirty facts that no one wants to talk about. Besides music and dance, what kind of hobbies do you have?
Yeah. So basketball is a big
Yeah.
one, right? I'm in a basketball league, just like a rec league. It's nothing serious, but that's good. I love basketball. I read a lot, as you can probably see. I love reading, and I love getting into the minds of other people. I run a business, so I run my own online business. I coach marketing. I help people grow their business, essentially, make more money online, which is kind of funny because everything we're talking about, right, with the streams and stuff, right, is like most people would say, because if you went and looked at my Spotify, I think I have like 40 monthly listeners, right? And people would be like, oh, obviously the guy who has no listeners is saying listeners don't matter, right? But once again, this is what I tell all my clients when in my program as well, because they're always trying to write content online to go viral, right? And they're making no money because they're just writing content that's trending. It has nothing to do with the business they even do, right? Mm-hmm. So the same thing goes for the music, right? It's like you're trying to create music to get streams, and then now you're creating music like you hate, you don't like, and it's not you. So it's the same thing in my business. It's just funny that the parallels, because I always teach my clients, you got to write for the people you want to work with, like write for them, because that's what's going to attract them. So do you want to be that rapper who's like doesn't care about the art and just wants like the clout, and then dude, that's fine. Mm-hmm. Then do it. Mm-hmm. Right? But if you're someone like us who's like, no, I genuinely want to help people, I care, like don't play the wrong game. And so even in online business, it's the same thing. Do you want to help people and like do you want to like make money, or do you want a bunch of followers and just to look like you have status? Whichever it is, I'm not even saying one's right or wrong. It's just which one is you, right? And so it's just funny. I just wanted to throw that in there.
Well, you can see the spark in your eye, and I can understand now why you do what you do and why you understand how to work that game really well, because you can see the passion in your eye of teaching people how to make their passion something. And I think that's what being a teacher and a coach is, what
totally
syncs those two together, and you can see it, the thoughts firing in your head. That's why I kind of liked how you said it doesn't matter which road you choose, but not everyone should be going down that trendy one. And that's where a lot of us are failing, is we're like, oh, well, this video my friend made 40,000 views on it.
Yeah.
The videos that go viral are the most random ones.
Exactly.
You never get to choose what they are. So forcing yourself to like make something that has to go viral, it would never go viral.
The whole thing is like, so I don't know where you're at, but for me, I run a business, it's doing well. I love making music. Music to me is not, like I'm not trying to be the next big artist, like rapper. And I'm okay with that. You know what I mean? At least like at this point in my life. Like I love what I'm doing in my business. I love helping my clients. I love it. And so I'm totally cool with just like making music, and yeah, maybe I could be promoting it more, and maybe I could, but to me I never want my music to be something where it's like I have to write today. Or I have a friend of mine who he was working for this company where he's a really good singer. He lives in town here. And he was pumping out, I can't even remember, it was like 20 songs a week. They were getting him to, and he was just like, dude, I hate this. He's like, I never want to be at that point where like I'm having to do something or whatever, right? And so once again, it all comes back to like, what game do you want to play? Also, just start with the end in mind. Like, what do you want? Because you know what? If I was in a point where I'm like, dude, I do want to be a big rapper and I want to be the biggest rapper in BC. Like if that was a goal, then yeah, you know what? I'm probably going to have to do a little more like viral reels. I'm going to have to play the game because it is a game. Mm-hmm. And so like it just, if you don't know what the goal is, then you can't reverse engineer it. So that's the thing, is like I always tell my clients, start with the end in mind. Like what do you want? Because like if you don't want that and then you're doing something else, it's not going to be in alignment, and you're gonna hate what you're doing, right?
So a wicked point. Create your dream and backtrack.
Yeah.
And I have a lot of friends who make music that way, where they build the whole song with all the elements they want in it, and then the subtractive creation, where they like take elements out and let it build that way. I'm always from like when I'm very guilty of like the starting point, the midpoint, and the end point. And I've always done it in a like business plan sense, where you have like 2-year goals, 5-year goals, 10-year goals. Because I always saw that if you made it to the 10 years and you were dedicated for that 10 years, you would make the people who go viral within 2 years, they don't ever last. You never see them last. And that's something I was always scared of, was like, I would rather last the music I write than be like a one-hit wonder. I'd way rather write song after song after song that I feel is what I want said to the world, versus like your friend who has to pump out 20 songs for a company, because that's, your creativity just drains so quickly.
Yeah, and yeah, he's a phenomenal singer, but once again, like, it just depends what you're trying to do, right? And even, it's a game. The sooner you realize that it's a game, you can figure out how you want to play it, instead of just kind of going in there like, oh, I'm doing this, I don't like doing this, and I'm getting no views. Because imagine like you're trying to copy these things you don't even like, and then you're getting no views even on top of that.
I'm guilty of it.
Right? And then it's like just a double slap in the face.
Well, that's what I was saying earlier today, was that I feel stupid when I'm sitting in front of the camera just rapping to like my recorded version and then syncing it up and putting it out there. Like, yeah, it gets a couple thousand views, but I don't like it. So I don't want to make content like that. I'd much rather do like if I could make a podcast where I could just sit and talk to musicians all day, like that's content I'd like to put out. Because like it's that creative juice is flowing between two creative minds. That's like, I'd much rather talk about that than talk about like myself. You know what I mean? So I feel like the one thing that I need to force myself to do is just talk to the camera about the topics that matter, and not so much worry about my music. Because I feel like this is where what I've realized is like playing the game is, people are more inclined to watch your reels if you're talking about something that's true to you, and then they're like, oh, this guy's a musician, but he's talking about genuine facts. Then that's kind of like, as a person whose job is to talk to other people, I'm sitting at a really fine line where like, what do I want to do? Do I want to like put content out that has my music in it because that's how you get the streams, or do I want to put content out that people are like, I resonate with what this guy has to say and he writes good music? I'm gravitating more to that last one lately, which is a weird concept for me because...
Yeah, but you can do both.
What was the biggest struggle point through the, I don't want to say the writing process, but the recording aspect of your album?
It would probably be just getting it to sound, you know, as like quote unquote professional as I could, based off my current skill level. So at that point I wasn't like a very skilled mixing producer or mixing engineer. But the beautiful thing was the guy who runs the program, his name is Chris Holmes, I could just come to him. So that was the beautiful thing, is I could show him a song and I don't know, man, I was that guy who was like always asking him questions, and I really thought I was kind of annoying him. So luckily I had that. But when it comes to the other stuff, it was trying not to be influenced. Like I stopped listening to all music. I stopped listening to everything, because what I noticed is, are you familiar with Isaiah Rashad? At that point in my like life, I was listening to a lot of his music because he was like recovering from addictions and stuff. So I really just resonated a lot with his music. But the way his music was mixed and produced was very like different. And so I noticed I was like trying to do a lot of that in my music. I just had to stop listening to everything and just be like, okay, what do I want to make and what would I listen to? I just want to make music that I would listen to.
Did you find that when it came to the mixing aspect, there were certain elements, like because you're trained in school, you're going to have knowledge on all aspects, but was there one aspect that really was difficult? I
was like over EQing and over compressing. Like, dude, my mixes now are 1,000 times better than any, like, I'm getting really good because I'm mixing a lot. I'm mixing a lot of my friends' music. I don't know if you know Chronic Walter. I've been working a lot with him. The reason I'm saying that isn't to be like, oh, I'm really good at mixing. It's just my music barely has any EQs, only on vocals, pretty much. I will, you know, EQ a bit if I have to with the drums or whatever, maybe the pianos or whatever. But for the most part, dude, I found mixing is just like 80% volume and panning. Really. So unlearning, all the YouTube videos you watch and all the guys telling you, oh yeah, like boost the snare like 4 dB at 1K, and you're like, oh yeah, okay. And yeah, so dude, because I remember Chris would always like look at my mixes and be like, what the hell? Like, why do you have this here? I'm like, oh, like I just saw some guy on YouTube. He said like EQ your snares at 1K, and he's like, no, like it doesn't need it. You can't. No snare's the same. You can't just. And so Chris really helped me like do that. So that was the hardest part for me.
Like the one thing I realized as I was way over boosting things, especially for that, and then realized that it was more. The subtractive was more logical. So like, oh, why is my mix so muddy? Because I'm boosting everything in the mid sections for the drums so that the toms come out. Like things like that where I was just like, oh, now knowing what I did, it's like, yeah, that obviously that was stupid. Why were you doing that? But you have to make those mistakes. Like I suck at mastering, getting it to that same level I struggle at, but I can get a good mix.
Cool.
It's like I can get a good mix and a good EQ. It's definitely, I find mastering is where I lack because I don't fully understand the concept of it. Like, yeah, it's boosting your sound, but you're also like so much to it that it just like you have to outsource. And this is what I was talking about. Our first interview this season was with 2 producers, and we were talking about a lot of artists nowadays. We think that we can do it ourselves. And by taking the YouTube courses. But like,
of course.
There are some people who are meant to do this, be producers, and find those people and work with them. Because investing in yourself is never going to be a bad thing. It's one thing I was always scared of, was investing in my own music career. Until recently. Because it was like, whoa, what if it doesn't make it anywhere? Well, you invest hours and hours upon things into video games, jobs that you don't like, watching sports. Why not invest into yourself? And
and you're calling it's an investment. That's the key word. Once again, with my clients, like you have to step into that. Oh, I run a business. Like I'm a business owner. Most of them are like, oh, it's a side hustle, or they're still caught in this because they're afraid of failing, or whatever the reason is, right? But it's like once you fully are like, no, this is my identity. I am this, and I'm going to own that and take it serious. That's when the biggest changes happen.
It's true. And as a business owner, what's been the biggest struggle for you being an online coach as well?
That one's probably just going to be getting people to see your vision. Because it's like so easy to have a vision that you see. And it's so easy to articulate it because it's in your mind and you know the vision. But it's like getting other people to buy into it and see it, right? And what I mean by vision, I don't mean for just my business, right? It's like if you came to me and you're like, hey, Darion, like I'm trying to grow my business and whatever, right? And I'm like, hey, here's how I'm going to help you. This is what we're going to do. It's like, how can I articulate that in a way that's relevant to you and what your desires are and what you actually want for your business and let you see what we could build, right? And it's not what you think it is. It's not saying, oh, we're going to do X, Y, Z, like all these like technical things, right? It's more like, it's more emotional than that because we're emotional beings, right? So you have to be able to get them to buy into it emotionally and then logically like be like, okay, I'll pay for this. Right, so that bridge.
Getting yourself to a point where you were making almost triple than what other people do in a month, strictly from online. How was that process? Because this is like, for me, that's super fascinating to hear. How did you get into that? Like, how did that whole situation come about?
Action, for sure. Like action, you can't beat action. It's a physical world, right? Action's going to win. But, dude, I had to do a lot of reprogramming. Like we said, I grew up without a dad, right? We definitely weren't wealthy. You hear all these things, your mom says, oh, we can't afford that, or money doesn't grow on trees. All these things that you hear as a kid, you don't realize that you take that programming into your adulthood. And so when I started, charging people money online, like, oh, I was charging like $500 or $1,000 for my coaching, which is fine. I didn't have enough social proof and skills yet to be charging more, but that to me was like a huge ask. And so overcoming the limiting beliefs and the programming, that was like the real thing, because you don't, realize what's going on. Anyone can go on YouTube nowadays, especially now. Like you could learn how to make 10K a month. You could learn like logistically and logically how to do it. But are you going to start waking up early? Are you going to start, asking people for, like, reaching out to people and seeing if they need help? Are you going to come over all your fears and your doubts? And like, that's the real work. So to get to the, 10K a month or even beyond that there's only so much technical knowledge you need. The rest is literally working on you. And that's kind of the beauty of it, right? So when I made that first 10K a month, I want to sit here and say like I was going crazy, but I wasn't, because mentally and spiritually I had already made it months before. Mm-hmm. Dude, every morning I was writing lines like I easily make 10K a month. Every morning I wrote it down 10 times. I easily make 10K a month. And so like I was already living it months before it happened. So when it happened, my friend Nathan, he was there with me the first time I did it. And he saw me because he would come over in the mornings to work out, and I would just be finishing writing my lines. And I never told him what I was doing. And then when I hit the 10K a month, like he was like, dude, this is crazy. And I'm like, dude, I'm grateful and I'm excited, but like, dude, like I have already been in this state for. So hopefully that answers your question.
Yeah, you manifested it.
Yeah,
100%.
Yeah.
If you had any advice for aspiring musicians, breakdancers, artists, creatives that are trying to get into it but can't figure out or are scared, where would their first starting steps be?
Stop thinking so much. Stop thinking so much. Just take action. Realistically, you're going to suck at anything you do, anything new, for at least the first year. Like, you're going to suck. And that's fine, because most people don't make it through that year, and that's why they quit, because they're embarrassed to look bad or fail in front of people or whatever, right? So just stop thinking. Stop worrying and thinking about what other people are going to think, and are you good enough? And no, just stop thinking, and then just start taking action. And then you're going to beat everybody sheerly just by that, because if 100 people started at the same time as you, 80 of them are going to just be overthinking and quit within 6 months. And then that last 6 months is going to be the 20 people who are probably maybe naturally good at it. And then after that year, there'll probably just be a couple of you left anyway. So you don't even have to worry about, you're going to be the best in a year out of your group just sheerly because you stuck with it. Yeah.
What advice would you give somebody who was starting a business or a potential career of their own?
Don't overthink it. Definitely don't overthink. That's the biggest curse of humans, is just overthinking. But I would say just start and don't stop. Because, man, let me ask you a question. So how many people do you know who used to rap who stopped?
I can easily tell you 15 right now.
Bro, I know people who started a business last year and then started messaging me on like LinkedIn and were like, they're gone. Mm-hmm. You know what I mean? Like, just start and don't stop. You're going to win. Either you're going to get lucky, you're just going to get really good, or you're just going to outlast everyone who quit. Mm-hmm. It's really not complicated. I think those two things, man, if you just stop overthinking, you start taking action, get feedback, because the only way you can get feedback is by taking action, right? You got to put out crappy songs and have people say, hey, this song sucks, I don't like this, or whatever, to like be like, oh, okay, like what didn't you like, and then make it better. You can't just sit in your head all day and come up with the perfect whatever, right? You need data to, iterate on. And then just don't stop. Like, bro, like where you are right now, like you said, the last 6 years you've been doing this. Now, look, you're finally starting to be like, oh, bigger artists are... It's because you didn't stop, dude.
Do you have anything coming up in the next couple months? Like any shows or...
Actually, no. We were going to do that show together on the boat, right? And then that got canceled. So since then, I've actually decided to just focus on making new music.
Sweet.
I've been performing the same songs for like the last year. So I'm like, okay, I need to make some new music. So, and it's, holidays coming up too. So yeah, I'm going to just chill on the shows and just cook. I think that's going to be the goal for like the next couple months. And then come spring, yeah, we'll see where it goes.
Is there any, like, where can people find your music, or if they're interested in joining you as a client for your coaching?
Yeah, just Darion Rae. How it's spelled in the title probably of this video. LinkedIn, stuff like that. I have a school community for my business. And then as far as the music goes, YouTube, or I do have a lot of my music out on streaming platforms as well. And that's where I'm at.
Well, I appreciate you having me, and this conversation has been absolutely
bro.
magical. I like to call them the magic moments, where it's like I have epiphanies, and those moments are like the key hard hitting episode moments.
Mm-hmm.
There was a lot of them in this. So
That's
when I'm
cool.
editing, I'm going to be going back, and because I've rewatched the episode like 4 times, and I'm like, I'm going to have to in
Yeah.
this one, because there's a lot of points that I'm like, yeah, I need to re-listen to that and what you said, because there's a lot of magic in there.
Cool.
So thank you again for having me and doing this. It was incredible.
Thank you, man.
And if you guys would like to be a guest on the show, there will be a QR code at the bottom. And if you click that or you scan it, there will be a code or a form that you fill out, and we'll get you on the show. This has been Story Hive on Location Kelowna. I'm Robb O'Day, and we will catch you guys again next time.